We started paddling out, and immediately this reef shark came over to say hi.
White tip right here.
We had just gotten in the water, and we didn't stop seeing sharks all day. We got out here to the shelf, and I decided that it looked like a good spot to take the first drop. I had been having some trouble with my sinuses, but the conditions were so good, I really wanted to just push through it and not let this day go to waste. I hit the bottom, and then looked to my right to see this beautiful white tip. He was a pretty small shark, and the white tips are pretty friendly, but I kept my gun between the two of us just in case. He's small, but he's still got some teeth. And I don't know if you guys noticed that there, but he had a fisherman's hook hanging out of his mouth, so I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't like humans very much. It was such an awesome experience to have that reef shark swim so close by me, so I'm just super grateful that he decided to come over and say hi. After another breathe up, I was ready to give it a second try. I hit the bottom, and I looked up and saw this moo in front of me. I lined up, but then I wanted to see if there was anything else, so I looked around and gave a little grunt. This moo got a little closer, and I realized it was a good size, so I lined up on it, and I took the shot. Look at that shark, startling. I didn't see that shark until the moment I shot the gun. The camera actually has a greater FOV than my vision in the goggles, so it kind of startled me. This wasn't the biggest fish, but it was only my second time ever shooting a moo, and I hit it right through the head. Plus, it's a good size to eat, so I was super stoked on this dive. My friend took a drop with the float line tangled around his weight belt in his best attempt to pull me down to the bottom. After we got that all sorted, I took a drop behind this coral head and set an ambush for this moo pile that was waiting a little further away. I sat here for a long time, and there were so many big moo here, but none of them seemed to get curious enough to come over. I already had one moo on the gun, so I decided to bust out the 3-prong and take a drop a little bit deeper. I tucked up against this shelf, put my head down, and started doing some scratching. Look how close these guys were getting to me. Right here I could have popped this guy with the 3-prong, but he was just a little bit too small. This is the first time I've ever been close enough to a moo to get it with a 3-prong though, so even though he was small, I felt really good about this dive. Because I was congested that morning, the pressure was hurting quite a bit in my sinuses. When I got back up to the surface, my friend told me that I had a bloody nose, so I decided that was my last dive for the day, and I was just going to watch him get some of these kole. He smashed this little guy, and I'm thinking he's done, so I throw him the shotgun and start heading back up towards the surface. But he's kind of hanging around down there, and then I realize he's reloading the spear, so after I hit the surface, I dive down quick because I don't want to miss these angles. He lines up on the second one. He hits it, but then that one in his hand darts away and ends up going under that coral head. I dove down after to try to recover it, but it was gone. My friend's not done with the kole, so he dives down and secures his second one for the day. The third one ended up giving him a bit more trouble. He hit it, but it ended up just skinning the kole, and now it's running around like crazy. He kind of tracks it with his 3-prong, but it just won't stop moving. It goes down into this hole, and I think it's done, and then it pops out, and he manages to snag it, so good news there. I really hate injuring fish and having them swim away hurt. I would much rather completely miss than have an injured fish get away. My friend got one last kole on his gun, and then this beautiful turtle came over to say hi. It was a really good session today. I saw a ton of beautiful sharks, and I got this nice sized moo that I turned into this plate of sushi here. I hit the bottom here on a new day at a new spot, and I slipped down between these rocks. I'm trying to keep most of my body hidden, that way the curious fish will come over and check me out. After being on the bottom for just a second, these Omilu cruise over and I got an easy shot on them. But they're pretty small, so I just let them go to get bigger and head back up towards the surface. Right before I swim away, they double back to check on me again, but I don't want anything to do with these guys. I start diving down towards these two big invasive roi who are just sitting there on the bottom staring at me. This one comes swimming by, but I decide this one in the cave is going to be a better shot. Then he dips out, so I turn towards that last one. I really take my time, and I miss. I hit this roi with the 3-prong, but it's a low gut shot, and after he thrashes around for a second, he manages to throw himself off and hide in this crack here. I spot another one, and I get a shot off, but this one also ended up getting away from me. These roi were giving me a hard time, but I didn't want to give up yet. I spotted this little one, loaded up the spear, and lined up the shot. It was a perfect shot, and it ended up going right through this roi's gill plate. Check it out, that fish is not going anywhere. I brained it to kill it in the most humane way I could, and kept on hunting. I hit the bottom and I start looking all around. I see this moo off beyond this ledge, so I drop down and try to hide behind it with the hope that the moo will see me and get curious. I go to the ledge and he starts kind of drifting over, so I put my eyes down in the hopes that he won't get too afraid of me. He comes in a bit closer and I feel like I've got the shot right here. The moo ends up dodging it. I feel like he was a little bit out of range there, either that or he had super fish reflexes. The moo pile is still close by, so I hit the bottom below this ledge with the hope that they'll drift over. I'm trying not to peek over the ledge too much, that way they'll come over and check me out. I don't want to scare them. One peeks over the ledge here, and I slide the gun over and start to line up the shot. I feel like I can get this guy when all of a sudden these Omilu come cruising in. I line up on the closest one. It wasn't the best shot, but all things considered, it wasn't bad either. After a second of thrashing, it gets itself stuck in this little crack here, and look how bent the spear is. I dive down to retrieve it. First I get a hand on its tail to secure the fish, and then I start working my spear out. This thing is really lodged in there. I really had to put some force into it. I brain the Omilu to kill it, and then cut its gills to preserve the quality of the meat. Look how beautiful this fish is. It's not the biggest one in the world, but it's a great size for eating. I don't plan on weighing this one, so I got it in the water where it's nice and easy to clean. Alright, this Omilu's been in the fridge all night, so it should be really tender. So I'm just going to slice it up and make a super simple poke. The first thing I'm going to do is just dice up the Omilu, and you can just do this to whatever size is your preference. After that, I'm going to dice some onions, and then I'm going to add a bit of salt. After the salt, it's time for ichimi togarashi. This is a really good Japanese pepper that I'm probably pronouncing wrong. Then it's going to be some sesame oil. After the sesame oil, we got some soy sauce. And then finally, we're just going to mix it all up. Once we mix this up, we're just going to let it sit in the fridge while we cook the rice. That way it has time to cool. I'm going to cook my rice in a pot because that's all I have, but if you have a rice cooker, then that's going to be great. One thing that I did forget to add is ginger. You're going to want to grate some ginger very finely and mix it in with the rest of the ingredients. For the rice, you can season it with rice vinegar and sugar, or you can get a sushi rice seasoning in the Asian section of the grocery store. And then this is what the final result looks like. Super delicious.